Welcome guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to Miko's Corner once again. Today we're going back to the First World War with King Constantine the First of Greece. Now, I was curious about the king, how the there was a lot of, inside drama in Greece at the time, and I was curious, and a subscriber, thank you very much, recommended this video, and I'm curious what's gonna happen. If you like my reaction, like, subscribe, and let's go.
He was a king at court and a soldier in the field, and to many Greeks during the First World War, he was the living embodiment of Greek liberty. I'm talking about King Constantine the First.
It's a bit too loud.
I'm Indy Nidell. Welcome to a Great War bio special of who did what in World War I, today featuring Constantine, King of the Greeks. Constantine was the first Greek-born prince. King Otto, the first Greek king after Greece became independent from the Ottoman Empire in 1832, had been childless, and so the protector powers, Britain, France, and Russia, had installed George I of the Danish House of Glücksburg as the new king in 1863 after Otto was deposed. The first Greek prince being born was a big deal, and the Greek people demanded he be named Constantine. This was because Constantine XI Palaeologus had been the last Byzantine emperor.
1453, such a year, the fall of Byzantium. Is it his death was like he died in 1453? Was he killed in Byzantium or in Constantinople? Sorry.
When Constantinople fell. And folk legends said that the king who would take back Constantinople from the Ottomans would be named Constantine. King George created the title Duke of Sparta for his young son. But this caused a heated debate in Parliament, since the Constitution forbade any noble titles for the citizenry, even for the royal family.
What?
Constantine was tutored by the best professors, and they instilled in him the megalidea, the great idea that Greece should liberate and unite all the Greeks living under foreign rule, which was 4 times the actual population of Greece. He enrolled in the Greek Military Academy in 1882, and after his graduation 4 years later, continued his military education in Berlin and served in the German Imperial Guard, though he also studied business and political science. He believed more in the divine right of kings than in democracy. In 1889, he married Sophie, Kaiser Wilhelm's sister, and in 1890 returned to Athens as a major general. In the 1890s, Constantine was president of the organizing committee for the first modern Olympic Games, working together with Baron Pierre de Coubertin. The successful conduct of the Games really fueled Greek nationalism, so the next year, when a revolt broke out in Crete against the Ottomans, Greece sent 2,000 men there and declared the island part of Greece. The Ottomans invaded, and Constantine, as crown prince and the only general in the army, took command of the men.
Wait, what? What do you mean the only general in the army? Where are the other generals? There was only one general? How small of an army do you have? You have 30 people and you're like, I'm the general.
Greece was unprepared for war. The Ottomans occupied Thessaly, and after an armistice was signed, Greece was forced to pay huge reparations. The country itself was put under international financial control, and the general consensus was that Constantine bore a lot of responsibility for the poor condition of the army. The new government gave him the task of reorganizing it. He did a remarkable job of this, but he also created around himself a circle of officers loyal to the monarchy, a royalist clique that controlled the army and caused resentment among the lower officers.
I mean, listen, it's gonna be controversial, but I'll do the same. Why wouldn't you do that? That's logical. You're the monarch, you want the army, because there's so many, historical events where, the army revolted against, the monarch. Like in Japan, the shogun against the emperor, all that. There's so many military juntas, coups. Wouldn't you want? I mean, it's logical. I won't fault the guy. I'll do the same. 100%.
Led to a successful coup in August 1909 by the Military League. an organization of junior and non-commissioned officers. One League goal was the ousting of princes from the army because they turned it into their personal property.
Oh
the
my
princes
God.
resigned. The League did not want to establish a new sort of regime, though, so it called in Eleftherios Venizelos to help form a new parliament and revise the constitution. Venizelos became prime minister, and a compromise was struck whereby the princes were reinstated in the army, but under tighter government control. When the First Balkan War broke out, Constantine was again commander-in-chief. That war saw the first real strife between Constantine and Venizelos. Constantine wanted to march north to Monastir and join the Serbian forces there, but Venizelos made him instead head east and occupy Salonika. During the war, in 1913, King George was assassinated and Constantine ascended to the throne. There is much speculation, though no hard evidence, that the assassin was a German agent. The Germans would prefer the German sympathizer Constantine on the throne rather than his Anglophile father.
Okay.
As king, Constantine remained army commander in the Second Balkan War, and within a short time, Greece had doubled in size and population. Constantine the hero was now a living legend and became the first field marshal in Greek history. People began calling him Constantine XII, the successor to the last Byzantine emperor. When the First World War broke out, Constantine favored neutrality, despite his German sympathies, because he well knew that the maritime nature of Greece made it vulnerable to whoever had naval superiority in the Mediterranean, the Entente. Now, the situation in Greece in 1915 and 1916 is very complicated, and we've covered it already in our Greece special and in the regular weekly episodes. But the violation of Greek neutrality by the Entente, the collapse of several governments, and the subsequent election of only royalist deputies to parliament when other parties abstained from the elections as unconstitutional, established his absolutism and made him more and more popular as the defender of Greek sovereignty. However, after he surrendered Fort Rupel to a joint German and Bulgarian force, the infuriated British and French took over Greek Macedonia, established martial law, and demanded Constantine disband his army. He did so, but formed the Reservists, a political royalist movement and militia. But Greece was now an amputated state. The British and French were in western and central Macedonia and many of the islands, the Italians in northern Epirus, and the joint Central Powers were marching on eastern Macedonia. The Venizelos argued that Constantine did not defend Greek independence after he ordered the army corps that defended Kavala to surrender to the joint army. So they took control of the Greek garrison at Salonika and established a provisional government there. Greece was now cut in two. It was soon pretty much in a state of civil war, as we saw in the Greece special, and with a crippling Entente naval blockade. By June 1917, the pressure on Constantine was staggering. The French occupied several royalist strongpoints and gave Constantine an ultimatum to resign, with the threat of bombarding Athens. He did not resign, but put his son Alexander on the throne and left the country. You might think his firstborn son George would take the throne, but he had served in the German army before the war, so the Entente excluded him.
Okay, I have to say this. Why the fuck are British and the French so antagonistic against the Greek? I don't know. First of all, number one, it's 1917. Okay, the war is, honestly, it's over, but that's number one. Number two, why the fuck would you be so antagonistic? You know, you don't want them to join the Central Powers, which is, I guess that's it, right? Why would you put so much and destroy the country? Why? Like, I don't see the point. Like, wouldn't you want them to be 100% behind you, on your side, if you're eventually gonna want to invade the Ottoman Empire or Bulgaria or reclaim Serbia, whatever it is? Why would you be so, I don't know. I don't get it.
Greece was still officially neutral during all of this. Constantine and his family settled in Switzerland, and Venizelos united Greece and joined the Entente in the war. The royal family's economy was not good, though, and Constantine suffered from chronic nephritis. He also nearly died from the Spanish flu in 1918. The national division in Greece was very much alive post-war, and many still viewed Constantine as the real defender of Greek liberty. In 1920, the Royalists won a stunning electoral victory over the Venizelos, 260 to 110, and Venizelos resigned from politics and left the country. There was then a referendum in November that restored Constantine to the throne with 99% of the votes, the Venizelos having abstained. Britain, France, and Italy did not recognize him as head of state and froze all loans to Greece. And Constantine's diplomatically isolated government launched an all-out attack against Mustafa Kemal's Turkish headquarters in Ankara. And in May 1921, Constantine led his army into Anatolia. His health was failing, though, and he had a heart attack in August and returned to Athens at the end of the year. The Greek army was finally defeated in August 1922, and the Greek population in Anatolia, now undefended, fell victim to massacres that a lot of the Greek people blamed Constantine and the Royalists for. A rebellion broke out in the remnants of the army, and Constantine was forced to resign the throne. George now became king, and Constantine left Greece September 27th. He died January 11, 1923, from a heart attack in Palermo. Constantine and Sophie had 3 sons and 3 daughters, and all 3 sons eventually became kings of Greece. He was undoubtedly a better soldier than king, and during the latter part of his life was literally worshipped by royalists. Today he's quite controversial. Some argue that he was basically acting as a German agent against the interests of Greece. Some that he was prudent for trying to keep Greece out of the war. But 2 things we know. He was an absolutist and believed his divine right allowed him to rule as he wished, and he was very headstrong. Even after his country was torn to pieces in the Great War, after getting one ultimatum after another, he still persisted on his policy at any cost. Big thanks to Volantis.
I don't know, people are bitches. People will, whatever you do, 50%, well, I don't say 50, but like a bunch of people will be like, oh, I'm against you. The other half will be, oh, I'm with you. That's why, this is gonna sound fucking weird, but that's why, being a dictator is so appealing. Being a president, first of all, the name doesn't sound good, president. Isn't it better to be known as a king, an emperor, a monarch, president? No, thank you. But being a president, it's like, no matter what you do, whereas if you're a dictator, I don't know. It's much more, it's nice, listen, if you're a dictator, it's nice to be the dictator, not to be the one that gets dictated upon. So, that's about it. Anyways, I'm getting on a fucking tangent here. Interesting guy, and I don't know why were the French and the Germans, the Italians, the British so antagonistic against him? I don't get it. Like, it's not like he attacked the French or he did anything against. He was a German. What if he was a German spy? Wouldn't he have joined the war on the German side in 1914? By 1917, I doubt he's gonna be like, I see where the wind is blowing, and I'm sure it's blowing for the Germans. So I'm gonna join them. Oh, I mean, I don't know. People are whatever. I hope you liked my reaction. If you did, all that, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.